My name is Jennifer DeRosa. I usually go by Jen. I'm also a lecturer for both programs. So I was saying earlier, for those of you that were coming in, usually we use the term energy and environmental programs to refer to both the Energy Policy and Climate Program, which I'll refer to as EPC usually, but also the Environmental Science and Policy Program, ESP. So you're going to hear those acronyms quite a bit, EPC, ESP. Hopefully you know which one you already belong to. I'll also refer to GIS, the Geographic Information Systems. That's another one of our master's degree programs and also our certificates. Just a quick show of hands. How many of you are in the Environmental Science and Policy Program, ESP? Okay. It's usually a larger program, so usually there's more of you. How many of you are in the Energy Policy and Climate Program, EPC? Okay, handful of you as well. Nice to meet you guys. And I actually teach in both programs, so there's a good chance that I'll have you in one of my courses in the future. I'm also the program coordinator for both programs and the advisor for both programs, along with the program directors Dan Zachary for EPC and Jerry Burgess for ESP. So it's quite possible that I've already communicated with you through email as your advisor, or talked to you on the phone, or maybe even Skyped with you. I do all three. I do face-to-face meetings, whichever one you want. So we're very, very glad that you're here today. We're very glad that you're part of the program. Welcome to the Hopkins Learning Community. It's an exciting time to be pursuing an advanced degree in the environmental sciences, in energy, in climate, in policy. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially within the Beltway, beyond the Beltway, and we like to keep on top of the issues and also sometimes challenge those issues. So we're also very interested in current events and things that are happening, and trying to make a difference in how those events play out in our program. So welcome. And as I mentioned, to give you an overview of the programs that are in the energy and environmental programs and exactly the number of courses that are involved. With the Master of Science degree in Environmental Sciences and Policy, it's 10 courses to complete your master's degree. Same thing with the Master of Science degree in Energy Policy and Climate, 10 courses. With the Master of Science degree in GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, that is also 10 courses. Is there anyone here who's working on the GIS degree? Usually those students are usually mostly fully remote because that program is fully online. But it's not uncommon to have a student who's doing the dual degree in ESP with the certificate in GIS. Is anyone in here doing that? Occasionally, yeah, as well. Yeah, occasionally with the ESP students, one of your core courses is environmental science, or in GIS in the context of the environment, or something to that effect. Oftentimes when someone takes that course, they fall in love with GIS and they change to a dual degree, so it's not uncommon. I personally love GIS too, so you find out it's a very useful tool. We have a graduate certificate in GIS, that's 5 courses. You'll notice that when you do a dual degree, if you ever do change your mind and you want to pursue that, when you merge the certificate with the master's degree, 2 of the courses overlap. So instead of doing 10 plus 5, you're only doing 13 instead of 15. So there is an advantage in terms of how much tuition you're paying to do a dual degree. With the Energy Policy and Climate Program, we also have a dual degree. This degree is focused with you get the master's degree in EPC, but you also get a certificate in international security. And this is through our partnership with the Government Studies Program, because when you're studying energy and climate change and what that means for the future, a lot of this, we start getting into issues of international security and national security in particular. And so we've had a couple of students pursue that dual degree as well. That's another situation as well, where you're taking a 10 course degree and a 5 course certificate, but when you do the dual degree, it's only 13 courses because 2 of them overlap. So, and if any time throughout your program you decide you want to kind of switch gears and enter into a dual degree, or maybe even you're in the environmental science and policy program but you fall in love with the energy policy and climate program and you want to change, that is possible. There is a degree, a form that you fill out to request a change of program. And it's kind of like reapplying, but it's not quite so labor intensive. You just have to explain why you want to change, and you have to be in good academic standing. And for the most part, we usually let you do that as long as it makes sense and you're in good academic standing. So just so you know that that option is available. All right. At the very beginning of your graduate school journey, I know that all of you received at admissions acceptance letter. Make sure you keep a copy of that. I think you got a digital copy. It details who your advisor is, whether or not it's me or Dr. Zachary or Dr. Burgess, depending on your program. It also tells you which courses, if any, you need to take as prerequisites. Some of you might have been admitted as a degree candidate, where if you're admitted as a degree candidate, you don't have to take a prerequisite. But some of you might have been admitted as a provisional student. And if you were admitted as a provisional student, you might be required to take either quantitative methods or chemistry or both. Now we'll talk about those in a second. How do you satisfy your prerequisites if you were required to take them? And it's not uncommon for us to admit provisional students. I'd say probably about half of our students coming into the program have to take a prerequisite, because our students are coming in from many different backgrounds. A lot of times it's not a science background. It might be a social science background or a business background. So many times people haven't had calculus or statistics or chemistry. Also, your letter will detail if you have a course that you're waived from taking. So for example, if you majored in geology as an undergraduate, then your letter of acceptance might say that you're waived from taking a core course in geology if you're in the ESP program. And what that means is it doesn't mean that you only take 9 of the 10 courses. It means that instead of taking the core geology course, it means that frees up one of your core courses and instead you can take an extra elective in its place, which is nice because you can tailor your degree based on your electives. So if anyone's curious about that and you had a course waived and you're not quite sure, it just means it cancels out one of your core courses and you replace it with an additional elective. If you haven't yet reached out to your advisor for advice, it's up to you to initiate that contact. Usually the best way to do that is through email. Since we are based here in DC, all of us usually come in only certain days a week, so a phone call is not the most effective way to contact us. The best way to contact us is through email, because we check our email all the time. So that's usually the best way to first contact us. If you want to talk on the phone or meet face-to-face or Skype, just let's set up a time. And we all are very flexible in that sense. I also recommend when this is posted, this presentation as a video will be posted on our website, and it'll have a link where you can re-watch this. It'll just be the slides and my voice. I recommend once that's up, you bookmark the link so that if there's anything you don't remember, you can re-watch it and recall the policy that we talked about.
Sorry, Jen's a big deal, and I was told to get a photo of her.
Thanks, Patrick.
Very big deal.
So now you're in graduate school. So what does that mean? It's important to realize that when you're in graduate school, this is different than being an undergraduate. It means that you're better than undergraduates. No, I'm just kidding. It means that our expectations are higher, and also means that more responsibility is on you. I like to remind people that the courses are more rigorous, and we do hold the students more accountable for their learning and the learning process that's taking place. So usually when students are first talking to me about how many courses to register for, they usually want to take as many as they would as an undergraduate. And I caution them that these courses are harder, more rigorous, they take more time. Start with 1 or 2 a semester. Don't start with 3. We won't let you start with 4 at all. Okay, so start with 1 or 2. Most of the people in our program are working professionals. Many have families. So it's usually good to ease your way in and start at and see how it feels and see what graduate school feels like. If you're concerned about financial aid, I recommend you reach out to the financial aid office. I know that federal student loans requires you to be full-time enrolled, which I think is 2 courses a semester. But if you can't do 2 courses a semester, there are private student loans out there. I know personally because that's how I paid for my doctorate. I did 1 course at a time. So there are options out there if you need that flexibility. Also be aware too that if you're going to start the program with 1 course and then later you want to do 2 courses in the spring, or maybe 3 courses in the fall, or back to 1 course because you have a heavy workload or you have a baby that's coming, you can change based on each semester, based on your work-life balance, without requesting permission from the school. You can change that amount that you register for, which is really nice. You have that flexibility. But remember, in each course, you're going to be expected to be working independently outside of the class, and your level of engagement is expected to be much higher. And it's ironic because I've taught at the undergraduate level, I've taught at the community college level, the 4-year college level, and at the graduate student level, and the level of engagement really is very, very different. At the undergraduate level, when you ask someone in an online class to participate in a discussion board, you get these gee whiz posts where people say, "Gee whiz, John, I did not know that the ocean turns over every 1,000 years. That's really interesting." And that's their discussion post. But when you ask a graduate student to participate, you get a thesis in a discussion post, and you almost have to rein them in. Okay, that's a bit much. 3 pages of text is a bit much. No one's going to sit there and read 3 pages of text. You need to maybe be a little bit more concise in your discussion posts. So I don't want you guys to burn out. I don't want you guys to feel like you have to go too far, but keep in mind that what we do in our courses, whether that's on ground or online, is we're facilitating your learning experience, but we're also trying to give you the tools so that you guys can dig into the parts that are most interesting to you. So I teach a class called Sustainability Science, and I give my students different opportunities to find the content that they really want to dig into, and they choose in those assignments, so they get to choose a topic that they research for a paper. I don't tell them what topic they're writing on. They choose what interests them out of the material that we've been covering, and then they go even deeper into the material, and they become the expert on that material more than I am. And then they share that with the class because they are then the subject matter expert of that material. And with your own professional backgrounds, wherever you're working, whatever organizations you're with or your past experience, whether that's an undergraduate or in your past work experience, you bring all of that knowledge to the classroom and you share that with your peers in the classroom. So each of our classrooms, you're not just learning from your instructor, you're learning from your classmates, probably just as much, if not more, than you are from your instructor. So that's what makes our program probably the most unique of any graduate program, is we're not a bunch of graduate students that are full-time graduate students and this is all that we do all the time. Nobody has a job. We're slaves to the department. This is all we do. I know, because I did that once years ago. You guys all have your own experience that you're able to share with each other, and we take advantage of that in all of our courses. But just keep in mind that there's a tendency sometimes for students to want to rush, like, I'm going to take 3 classes this semester, check, check, check. Got to take my core courses, check, check, check. I want to cram as many courses as I can. I got to graduate by this date. I need a promotion. I got to graduate, got to graduate, got to graduate. You're paying to learn this. This isn't a box-checking experience. This is an experience for you to actually grow and develop and evolve as you're going through this program. I know that a lot of people want to graduate and say, hey, I have this piece of paper. It means that I'm really smart. No, you actually want to end this program and be really smart and know all of this and have this network, this Hopkins network. But you also want to have all this experience from your courses, of all these papers and research that you did, all this field experience you did on these courses, that if you did an on-site course somewhere in the world with one of your professors, we'll talk more about that in a second. You want to have all these rich experiences, and that is what's going to make you unique in terms of the job market. Not having a special piece of paper. That'll look great on the resume, but when you go into an interview, being able to share all those rich experiences from your classes and from the research you've done and from the field experiences that you've had, that's what's going to make you look stellar. Okay, so I'm going too long on that side. I'll keep going. All right.
Sorry, Jen.
Sorry. Okay, so grading standards. Just a kind of heads up about grading standards. Because it is graduate school, the grades might be tougher than what you're used to. We do use a grading scale that uses pluses and minuses. So we have A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus, C, and then it just drops down to F. There's no D, I guess. And there's a reason for that. You'll notice the two big disclaimers that I always want to bring to people's attention. If you're a degree candidate, so if you're admitted to the program as a degree candidate, meaning you don't have any prerequisites to take, if you get a C in a final grade in a course, that puts you on probation. The moment you get a C in a course, it puts you on academic probation. If you get a second C in a course as a final grade, you're dismissed from the program. That's it. We just say goodbye. So, and I hate having to do that. So that's why we give this disclaimer right at the beginning. The penalty is even more harsh if you're a provisional student. And remember I said, we have a good portion of students that are admitted provisionally, needing to take their prerequisites. So if you're a provisional student and you need to take a prerequisite, either quantitative methods or chemistry, the rule is that if you're a provisional student and if you earn a grade of B minus or lower than a B minus, which would be a C or an F, then you're automatically dismissed from the program. So that's why I always caution provisional students when they're first coming in, don't overload yourself with courses. Take it easy, try to get through your prerequisites so you're a degree candidate, but take it easy, focus on your course, do a good job with your grades, don't overdo it, don't burn yourself out, because you can't get a B minus or lower. So that's our warning to you guys. Also, be very conscious of how you're doing in a course. All of our courses have a withdrawal date, and I'm forgetting what the withdrawal deadline is for fall. It's in early November. I just put it on my syllabus, so I should know it. It's in early November. You should keep an eye on that date. If you're in a course and your work-life balance is not good that semester and you're struggling and you're kind of sitting at that C level, then if there's any kind of issue, things aren't going well, don't risk it. A withdrawal is not going to hurt you. A C is going to hurt you. So that's why we always say keep an eye on that and make that decision as you get closer to it if you need to. Another policy is we really don't use a GPA. So you can't, when you look at your grades, you'll have A pluses, A minuses, and Bs in the grade book, in your transcript. You don't have a GPA. So you can't say, oh, it doesn't matter if I get a C, it'll balance out my GPA. It doesn't work like that. It's all just letter grades. Okay? Any questions about grading? Yes?
If you're a provisional student and you're taking those classes, the math and the chemistry, what grade do you have to get?
Oh, for the provisional students? same thing. So if you're a provisional student and you're taking either quantitative methods, which is 42301, or chemistry 42302, you still have to make either a B or higher. So again, if you made a B minus or a C, that would you would be removed from the program. So it's the same threshold. Anything that's a B plus, anything that's a B, I'll say that correctly. Anything that's a B or higher is good, and anything that's a B minus or lower would be bad, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm always cautioning provisional students to make sure that they're very careful and they spend a lot of time focusing on their grades and not overdoing it with courses. Because there's a tendency for people to want to overload. All right. And if you think of more questions, we're going to come to a Q&A at the very end. Also, so once you've talked to your advisor or reached out to your advisor, we also recommend that you, if you haven't yet, most of you probably have, but if you haven't yet, complete the new student checklist, which I included the URL, but if you go to the JHU AAP website, under current students, you'll find the new student checklist, which is really nice because it shows you all the things that you have to do, like how to get your JET ID, which is the magical ID that gets you into everything, like your email, and the SIS system for registering for courses. It also takes you through how to access and register for your courses and register and get into Blackboard. So it's all really laid out in the new student checklist. But also, once you've done that and you've received your JET ID in your email, you can register for courses through the SIS system. SIS stands for Student Information System, but we often just refer to it as SIS. This is where you'll go to see what courses are being offered for the next semester, how many people are enrolled, how many seats are left, how many are on the wait list. And I always like to warn people too, don't panic if you're trying to get into a core course and you see that the section is all waitlisted. Dr. Burgess and I for ESP and Dr. Zachary and I for EPC, we use that waitlist number to know if we need to open more sections. So if there's a core course, and I say the core courses because those are the ones that almost always waitlist. So if there's a core course that you need, and it's the first day of spring registration, because it's always the first day that it waitlists, and there's 20 people on the wait list, don't panic, just register for the wait list, and then we'll know that we got to open another section. When we do that, we'll usually email everybody on the wait list and tell them we opened another section. You can also check regularly back at SIS, and you'll see that we opened another section. You're not automatically enrolled in the next section. The reason why is because the tuition bill it's hefty. You don't want to automatically be enrolled in everything that you've waitlisted for. It'll scare you when you get the bill. So there's a reason you're not automatically enrolled. We alert you, and then you're given the option to go in and register for it. But the wait list is just to tell us if there's a demand for it. And usually that process will go on for a couple of weeks. So as we open a second section, if the wait list grows for that, we'll open sometimes even a third section. So don't worry if there's ever a wait list. Sometimes even the electives sometimes have a wait list too. It's usually the online courses that have wait lists. It's almost never the face-to-face courses that have a wait list. And it's because our demand is for the remote courses, because that's our student body is growing and growing in the remote side. You'll want to make sure that you take the Blackboard tutorial. You have to pass it to be let into your course modules and your Blackboard courses if you're taking any online courses in the fall, or if you have an on-site course that is using the Blackboard as a shell for any of your readings or the grade book, you won't be able to access anything on Blackboard until you finish the Blackboard tutorial. You'll also want to take the research skills tutorial that's offered by the library. I think that's embedded in Blackboard, if I remember correctly. Another thing, and I think they talked about this in your earlier presentation that you came to before you came to me, reviewing the JHU Code of Conduct. Did they talk about that before? I think Laura Hannon talked about that. It's always good to review that and know what it says about academic integrity, especially knowing what it says about the plagiarism and cheating and et cetera, about the school's code of conduct. Also, you always want to be aware of registration add and drop dates. There is really no course shopping period that you might be used to as an undergraduate. If you want to be in a certain course, be registered for that course before the course starts. Courses for the fall start on Wednesday, September 5th. So you want to make sure if you want to be in that course that you're already physically registered for it before that begins. There's not really a window to move around in courses during that first week. Okay. In terms of communication, and this is really, really important, all communication from the program chairs and I goes straight to your JHU email account. And this is really important in terms of events that we're doing as a program. If we're hosting, we hosted a Student and Alumni Energy and Environmental Program Conference. We host seminars and speaker series regularly. We advertise new courses, especially brand new field courses that fill up very quickly. We do all of this through your JHU email. If you want to be the first person to sign up for the brand new course that's going to, let me pick someplace attractive, it's already full, Cuba, then you need to be checking your JHU email. That class filled up very quickly, so sorry you can't get in on that one, unless there's a person who drops out. But people don't know, though, when the registration for those really attractive field courses opens up if they're not checking their JHU email account. Now, you can forward your JHU email to a personal email address, but I know from the IT folks that there's a delay. So if you really want to be cutting edge and getting the email first, I recommend you check your JHU email on your phone without forwarding it, if you can do that. So check it with great frequency. Also, I've been warned that because I send out too many emails to people that sometimes my emails go to spam. At least I've been warned by some of the people in the EPC program. So check the emails from Dr. Zachary or Dr. Burgess or me or Jerry Miller from GIS. Make sure our emails aren't going to your spam folder, or else you're going to miss some really important opportunities. A lot of times we'll send out job opportunities that maybe one of the alumni are looking to hire someone straight out of the program, and we'll send that out to people that are graduating. So you don't want to miss emails like that. I know it gets old to be bombarded, but you want to make sure it's not going to your spam email. Also, feel free to follow us on social media. ESP has a Twitter and Instagram at JHU ESP. EPC also has a Twitter and Instagram at JHU Energy Policy. I run both of those. See, I do all this stuff. There's also a Facebook page for ESP. Our student council on the EPC side has their own Facebook page, and they do a pretty good job of coordinating that. And then there is a LinkedIn group for alumni and current students as well. We do different advertisements of different things on the different social media, so it kind of depends on what you're interested in. If you're interested in current events, follow us on Twitter. If you're interested in jobs, do the LinkedIn. If you're just interested in events in general and the community in general, I prefer Instagram for that because it's my favorite. So it just kind of depends on what your preference is. The links to all of that is on our webpage for the programs. So if you need to click and join, you can do that. All right. In terms of course choices, if you're unsure what courses to register for first, it's always good to speak with your advisor. I usually tell my advisees to start with the core courses first if they're not sure. If you're not sure what those are, for both programs have a green menu. It's on the left side of the web page, not actually on the right side like I have it here. but you can click on the degree requirements, and you can also click on the course descriptions, and it'll tell you what of those 10 courses that you're supposed to take, which ones are the core courses and which ones are the electives. So if you're not sure what to start with the core courses first. Having said that though, the core courses are offered with greater frequency. The electives are offered not as often. So if you see an elective that really piques your interest and you're fascinated by it, take it when you see it, because you may not see it again for another year, if that makes sense. So for example, in the Energy Policy and Climate program, I teach a solar energy course. But I teach that course once every 2 years. So if you really want to take that solar energy course, take it in spring 2019, because that's the last time it'll be taught until the next 2 years, if that makes sense. Now on the ESP side, same thing. We have some electives that run about once a year. So if there's an elective that you see that you really like, jump on it. Now if you kind of want to map out your degree plan, which I kind of would be the person that does that, on both pages, EPC and ESP, we have something called the multi-year schedule. And what this is it's a tentative schedule of the next few semesters that the program director and I have talked about, that we think, it's the courses we think we're going to offer in the next few semesters. It's tentative because sometimes we'll have a faculty member who gets sick and can't teach that class, or sometimes because of something that maybe the president has done, we'll change a course because it's more interesting based on something that the president has done, and we'll offer a brand new course based on that. We like to be current. So I say that it's tentative. It does flex a little bit. Sometimes our field courses might alter a little bit based on logistics, but we do this to try and give you that heads up of what we think we're going to offer, so you can map out your degree plan. And you can get a feel for what's going to be offered when. But there's a little bit of uncertainty there. In terms of the schedule, you'll notice that with courses, some courses will have a section 51, some will have a section 81, and some will have a section 91. Section 51 means the course is offered on site. That means it's usually offered right here in Washington, D.C. in a classroom. Those are usually offered in the evenings, once a week, during a regular semester, usually from like 6 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. We don't offer courses on the ground during the day because almost all of our students are working professionals, so they can't come to class during the day. If you register for a course that ends in a section 81, that's our code for usually meaning fully online. So the course is done through Blackboard. Now, if you've done online before as an undergraduate or in a previous school, it might have been a bad experience. It might have been kind of boring, where you just posted little things in the discussion board. We're trying to stay on the cutting edge of pedagogy and technology and learning, so we try and use many different tools to be as engaging as possible. I say that because I'm on the co-chair of the Faculty Professional Development Committee, and we're always working to make our online courses as engaging as possible for students and for faculty. So much so that I actually have gone from years ago, when I used to not enjoy online courses, to where I actually love teaching online courses. They've changed so much in the last 10 years. They've come so far, and there's still so far to go. So Section 81 means online. Section 91 is a code that we'll use usually for a course that's on site, but usually it's usually a code we'll use for a field course. Or in the ESP program, we'll use this code if we have an on-ground course that has field trips. Because I know that Dr. Burgess, several of his courses that have like a regular lecture but have field trips on the weekends, he codes it with a Section 91. But in the EPC program, we'll use Section 91 usually for just a field course. Like our California field course we did this summer was coded with a Section 91. So just so you know, when you're looking in SIS and you're wondering what does that number mean, it can tell you kind of what that course is in terms of like how is it offered. Also a heads up that you can take up to 2 courses outside of your program. Outside, so if you are in the ESP program and you've got your 10 courses you have to take, and you really want to take a course over in the EPC side, like the Energy Technology course, you can take that course and have it count as an elective for your EPC degree. ESP degree. Getting my acronyms mixed up. Or if you're an ESP student and someday you want to run your own environmental nonprofit, I highly recommend you take a course from the nonprofit management master's degree that our government folks offer. You could take a course in nonprofit management and have that serve as an elective for your ESP degree. Now, our only stipulation is that of those 2 courses that you can take outside of your program, they have to be within Hopkins, within the Hopkins kind of AAP umbrella. Well, it can be beyond the AAP umbrella. I've had students take courses over in the Carey School of Business, and students take graduate courses at the Whiting School of Engineering. So the calendars might be a little off slightly. Their start and end dates are a little different. But if there's something that piques your interest that's a graduate level course within Hopkins that you really want to take, we can try and figure out a way to make it work and have it count as an elective. You might have to do the legwork in finding that dream course if there's one out there that you want, but just talk to your advisor about it. How to learn about the compressed field courses that I keep alluding to. I'm going to talk about those next. For both programs, these are detailed under the heading called The Experience, which I think is a little vague, but that's where we put them, The Experience. And these are special courses that, another way that make our programs unique. The Energy Policy and Climate program usually does about 1 big field course a year. They do it in the summertime. Previous field courses, we had one a couple of years ago that went to Benelux. Another one the year after went to Australia. The one this year that I co-taught with Dr. Zachary went to California and Nevada. So it was 2 stops. And then the one next summer is going to China. And these field courses focus on renewable energy and climate change projects in these on-site locations. And they're a condensed, compressed course. So you register for the course as a summer course, and you do some pre-trip readings. But you're on-site at that location for it depends on the site and the location, but anywhere from about 7 to maybe 10 days. I think when they went to Australia it was longer, because if you're going to fly all the way to Australia, you might have to spend longer there. So you're on site, on ground for, I think, 7 days usually is the average length. And when you're there, you visit a variety of sites and you meet a variety of experts and speakers, and you do a variety of tours and field stops. Now, for example, in our California trip we did this year, we toured the Tesla factory. We met with executives at Google. We met with the California Public Utility Commission. I'm trying to think of all the stuff we did. It's been a really busy summer, because I also did a Hawaii field course too. So it's been a very busy summer. We went to Nevada, and we went to Copper Mountain Solar Facility and toured a very large solar plant, and then we got an engineering tour of the Hoover Dam. And we talked to a variety of different experts working in sustainability in the San Francisco side, but also working in renewable energy production on the Nevada side. So it was a really good field trip. Their field trip for the next summer is going to be in China, and that will probably take place in June. Now, when this trip is finally official, it'll have its own webpage describing all of the logistics of the trip, the dates, the field trip fee, which is associated with housing and transportation and food, and that will be up on the page that's titled The Experience. And so when that's up, Dr. Zachary will send out an email to all EPC students telling them about the trip so they can learn more about it. Now, if you're an ESP student, you can absolutely take that course and go on that course and have it count for your residency requirement. Because if you're in the ESP program, you have to take one on-site class. You guys recall that requirement for the ESP program. And so it's nice to know that you can actually take an EPC field course and have it count as your residency requirement. So just a heads up about that. So that's the big EPC field course for this year. Now ESP is actually a larger program. We have more students, and we subsequently go more locations. We're also focused more on the ecology, sustainability, wildlife conservation side of things. So you'll notice our courses, our field courses, are more tailored to that focus. And also to look at these upcoming ones, they will be posted on the ESP The Experience webpage. The next one up and coming is the Nature Conservation and Sustainability course to Cuba in January. Occasionally we are able to offer these condensed field courses during what we call the winter mini-mester, which is like this tiny little semester that we pack in January. Technically it's in the spring semester, I think, when you're registering, but the actual on-ground component is before real classes start. So that's this January. In the summer, there's a field course in the Great Lakes focused on environmental management. There's another field course focused on conservation biology and wildlife management in Glacier National Park. Gorgeous place. Another one, and you'll notice, so each of these is going to have a field course fee associated with them. One with a more reasonable field course fee because it's local, but it's actually at a local, very beautiful site. Focused on freshwater ecology and restoration of aquatic systems, is actually located here in Maryland. So that one's actually a more affordable alternative, but still has the same field methods training associated with it. And then another one that's in development, and I noticed that Dr. Burgess, who's actually traveling right now, developing this in Canada, he just put it on the schedule, so I put it on the slide. I wasn't sure if it was going to be added or not. But a Newfoundland and Labrador, Origins of a Continent and Human Ecology in Canada. This one's tentative, but I think he's planning to offer it. So you get a feeling for that. I have a running schedule going further than that. We go to places like Cameroon, Africa, Nepal, the Bahamas. I just got back from Hawaii. These are my students discovering green sand near Green Sand Beach in Hawaii. We go to the Galapagos. This is Dr. Burgess in the Galapagos with other ESP students. So just to give you a feeling for, we actually take students and do field methods on site. And that's one of our strengths of our ESP program. It's ambitious, it's exhausting, it's a lot of fun, and it's probably one of the best learning experiences you'll have. So I encourage you guys, if you have the means to do so, to take a field course, if you're able to do it. And we have other future ones in development, so that's just a piece of our list. We have future ones in development. So just to give you a feeling for what we're trying to do. All right, provisional students. I mentioned that there are options for meeting your prerequisite coursework. Some of the incoming students are, if you're told in your admissions letter that you were admitted provisionally and that you have to take either quantitative methods, it'll say either you have to take 301 quantitative methods or 302 chemistry of natural processes, talk to your advisor and find out what do you really need to take. It's kind of if you're missing either calculus or statistics or both from your undergraduate coursework, then the admissions acceptance letter will automatically say that you have to have quantitative methods. But when you talk to your advisor can look back at your undergraduate transcript and tell you if you really just need one or the other. So for example, if you're one of my advisees and you've already had statistics and you passed statistics, you just need calculus, I would probably advise you to just take calculus at a local community college and not bother with quantitative methods. It's really entirely up to you, but you have options. Here are your options for clearing your provisions. And by the way, you have a year to clear your provisions from the time you start at Hopkins. So if you're starting in the fall, you have between now and this time next year to finish your prerequisite coursework. All right, you can take your prereqs through Hopkins. They're done as an online class. There's no on-ground option. So you can do that through Hopkins. You pay graduate student tuition rates, though. I'm not telling you not to, I'm just saying. Okay, just putting it out there. You can do the math. You can take your prerequisite at a local accredited community college or local accredited four-year college. We're looking for Calculus 1, or Introduction to Calculus, Introduction to Statistics, or Chem 1, or Introduction to Chemistry, or General Chemistry. That's what I'm looking for. If you find something at a local community college and you're not sure, send the course description to your advisor in email, and either I or Dr. Burgess or Dr. Zachary will look at it and we'll tell you if that's acceptable. Okay, and we'll give you the thumbs up that's okay to register. When you're done with it, again, you need to make a B or higher. When you're done with it, send your transcript to JHU AAP registration. Send it to the registration office here, and they'll put it on file. Another option is you can attempt to test out of the prerequisite. If you've done, let's say you have never formally taken statistics, but you've done lots of statistics at work. I mean, it's part of your job. You do it all the time. Then by all means, talk to us about taking the math exam. It can't hurt to try. On the math exam, you have to make a grade of 80% or higher to get your prerequisite for the math, or QM, we call it QM, to get that waived. We also have a chemistry exam. You have to make a grade of 85% or higher to get that waived. It's a harder exam, sorry, but it's an option. So you can attempt to test out of the prerequisite. And then let's say you need an online class option. Sometimes I have students, they're nowhere near a local community college. They don't want to take the Hopkins version. They need an online affordable option. I've sent several students to the University of California, Berkeley Extension campus. They have a good calculus class, a good statistics class, and a good introduction to chemistry class that are all fully online and actually have a pretty reasonable price. I'm not endorsing them, I'm just saying. I've had some students go there and they seem to be happy with it. So, and you get, it's accredited, you get a transcript. You have to have a transcript at the end of this. Any questions on that? Options? I think those are all the options I could think of. Once you're done with doing your prerequisite, whether that's here or at another school or even with the test, we can alert the registrar's office. But once you're done with your prerequisite coursework, how do you get the provisions cleared and become a degree candidate? There's a form you fill out. It's under the current students part of the webpage, but if you go to the JHU AAP webpage and you go to current students and you go to the drop-down menu and you go to forms, there's a change of student status form. You can also email me and I'll send you the link to the form. And you fill out the form, it's really easy, and you just request to have your status changed. I recommend you wait a few days to make sure the transcript got there, because usually I'll have a student who asks the transcript to be sent and then that day they fill out the form. And then the registrar says, well, no, because they have no proof yet. So you have to wait a few days for the transcript to get there. Yeah, so make sure you wait. I've already mentioned that we use Blackboard as our course management, our learning platform. You can access Blackboard by going in through your student portal, but you can also just bookmark the blackboard.jhu.edu for easy access. Sometimes there's issues with different browsers. We've found that Firefox seems to work the best, so I highly recommend you use Firefox for your courses. Online courses won't open early. They will only open on the very first day of class. So you won't see anything until for the fall, September 5th. Make sure you've taken and passed the Blackboard orientation. If you try to go in and see your courses and you haven't done your orientation, you won't see any of your courses. So if you try to start frantically emailing people because you don't see your courses, it's because you haven't passed your orientation in Blackboard. You have to remember to do that. Also be aware of the refund schedule. AAP is very strict about the no shopping period in between classes and not letting people move around a lot that first week of class. There's also a very steep reduction in the amount of tuition that you get back if you drop a course after 8 days. So after 8 days before the class begins. Also be aware of the last day to withdraw from a course. It's usually about 2/3 of the way through the semester. If things are not going well, if your grades are struggling, don't wait, just withdraw. It's better to have a W than to have a C and be put on probation or get removed from the program. Okay? Continuous enrollment. Hopkins expects continuous enrollment of all of its active students with the exception of summer. So we expect you to be enrolled in the fall and the spring. It can be as minimum as 1 class or as much as 3. If you don't enroll in the spring and the fall, you might be assessed a continuous enrollment fee. If you need to take a break from your program or work due to personal obligations, you can request a leave of absence. In order to find that form, it's again under the AAP website, current students, and the forms. All the forms you ever need are actually under current students and forms on the main website. You can request a leave of absence probably multiple times. It's really at the discretion of the program director. As long as you give them a heads up as to what's going on, we're pretty nice people and pretty flexible. So, yeah. In terms of graduation, graduation does not happen automatically after 10 courses. In graduate school, you have to apply for graduation. It tells us your intent to graduate after 10 courses. We do have some people that love us so much they don't want to graduate. They just want to keep taking classes. So you have to apply even if you're not planning on attending the ceremony. The ceremony is once a year. I know it's kind of a bummer if you graduate in like August or December. We do our big ceremony once a year in May, but it's worth it to come back because it's a big ceremony. It's at Royal Farms Arena. We shake your hand. It's awesome. But you have to apply even if you're not planning on attending the ceremony. There's a fee and a deadline. I don't think it's a big fee, but there's a fee and a deadline to apply every semester. I guess every semester there's a deadline to apply so that for the paperwork, so that you get your diploma and everything like that. And you do so by going to current students and graduation ceremonies and application on the main webpage. And if you're curious whether or not you're okay to graduate, you can email aapgraduation@jhu.edu, or you can email your advisor, and we're just going to email aapgraduation@jhu.edu for you and ask them if you're cleared to graduate. A lot of times, most of the time, we're handling emails from students. It's students usually wondering where something is or how do I do something. A lot of the questions we handle are generally students that needed to re-listen to this presentation one more time. A lot of your questions can be solved by going to the Current Students tab at JHU AAP's website. So become familiar with the Current Students tab and all of the different things that are found there, the different forms. If you have a course in your undergraduate program that you think might qualify you to try and waiver one of your courses and maybe get out of one of your core courses so you can take another elective, you'll find the waiver application in that site. If you want to update your status, forms are there. If you want to change your program, forms are there. Leave of absence, forms are there. Everything's there. You can review your program requirements and course descriptions, the multi-year schedule, field courses by going to the program-specific website for ESP or EPC. You're in charge of your journey through the program, and so I encourage you guys to really take ownership of that. Remember, advising comes at your initiation. I don't follow my advisees around on the internet and say, hey, can I help you? Because I have way too much stuff to do as it is. So if you guys reach out to me, I'll help you as much as I possibly can. But if I don't hear from you, I'm going to assume that you've got it and you don't need me. Okay, so advising completely comes at your initiation. Information specifically about your courses is going to really come from the Blackboard website or from communication between you and your professor. So if your course instructor hasn't sent out an email with the syllabus yet, so I know I'm always telling our faculty you should send out the syllabus and a welcome email a week before your course begins. But a lot of them, they're adjunct faculty, they work these awesome jobs at places like NOAA and the EPA and FERC, and they have these great jobs, and so doing a syllabus and getting it out a week early is maybe not quite as high on their list as all this other stuff. So they may not have it done a week early. So if they haven't yet given you their syllabus, I would encourage you to email them and you can ask them. Or on the multi-year schedule, we always try to post a sample of their past syllabus, so you get a feeling of what they typically do in a given semester. Sometimes they give us a current syllabus, but I still slap sample syllabus across it just to be safe in case they change anything. For textbooks too, there is a textbook, a bookstore for us that's on the JHU AAP website. I've had a few students though who haven't been able to find their textbook, so that's another thing that you can email the professor and ask them. But a lot of that's between you and your course instructor, and emailing them is good. Sometimes the instructor doesn't always check their JHU email. We're always on them about that. And they may have a personal email, and if you don't know what that is, ask me or the program director and we can give you their other email. Sometimes that's posted on their bio. Their webpage on their faculty bio has their other preferred email as well. You can check that out. I know it's lots of information. Remember, you already heard, I think, in your earlier presentation about student services. You might have heard a little bit about career services, financial aid office, and possibly even the international student services. So keep aware of all of those different programs that are there to help you and resources for you. Remember, too, which system you need to use for which task. SIS is for registration for courses. It's also where you're going to go to check your grades when your grades are posting. And it's also where you go to see what the course schedule, what the course options are, the real courses are for the next semester. We've got our multi-year schedule of what we think we're going to offer, but to see the real courses as they're loaded in the system when we get closer to November 1st, the first day to register for the spring, check SIS to find out what those courses are. Blackboard is what you're going to go to for your courses that are online, but also any materials that your on-site professors might load up, like reading materials in the gradebook. And then the registration office, we can also contact them for any forms or questions about your academic record. Usually your advisor will help you do that, though. All right, and then if you haven't yet met the other faculty, the head of the Environmental Science and Policy Program, Dr. Burgess, I encourage you guys to stop by and meet him when he's around. He's out of town this week. Dr. Zachary, the Program Director for Energy Policy and Climate. His office is right next to mine on the 8th floor. Jerry Miller is the Assistant Director for GIS. And then that's me. You guys have met me now. Do you guys have any questions? There's a lot to take in, a lot of details. So that's why I'm hoping to post this. Yes?